What is up with us? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be looking at some crazy videos about predictive programming. So you're gonna want to stay locked in, because you ain't gonna believe this. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember I used to play that? But let's get right to these videos.
There's some pretty crazy predictive programming I just found out about. I'm sure there are others who aren't aware of this one, so I'm going to share. The 1977 song Crack in the World by Sammy Hagar. This gets wild, but first let me point out a crush in between, there's a thin, thin line. But just around the corner, there's a change in design. Just 50 more years, we're all going to know why, when, where, how, and who gets to go. So let's all have a good time before the great divide, because things will start separating come 2025. So look for the subtle clues. It won't make front page news, which it doesn't. Sometimes we have to look deeper. Let's start by seeing what
Crazy, because you know those white people went and started that their little own community over in Arkansas, which ain't too far from me. I don't know if that's the divide that he's talking about, but hey, makes you wonder.
happens if we mirror the cover art for this song and then connect the dots. Go figure. There was also a movie in 1965 called Crack in the World. Thank God it's only a motion picture, or is it? And the reason it's so crazy to mention 2025 and 1977, because it was also referenced in 1988 in the movie They Live, which just so happens to be a movie that I view more as a documentary. And of course, the one-eye symbolism.
Our projections show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance. The gains have been substantial, both for ourselves and for you, the human power elite.
Or what if they talking about the New Madrid fault line and how it's going to divide the country? I don't know. Could be talking about a bunch of divides, but we shall see, right?
We have some extremely chilling news tonight. 60 Minutes, in its closing statement, issued a statement about its executive producer's resignation, Bill Owens, who actually resigned because he felt he no longer had journalistic independence at the company because of the Trump administration's pressure. And while tonight, 60 Minutes said in part, quote, our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger. The Trump administration must approve it. Paramount began to supervise our content in new ways.
In tonight's Last Minute, a note on Bill Owens, who until this past week was executive producer of 60 Minutes. He was our boss. Bill was with CBS News nearly 40 years, 26 years at 60 Minutes. He covered the world, covered combat, the White House. His was a quest to open minds, not close them. If you've ever worked hard for a boss because you admired him, then you understand what we've enjoyed here. Bill resigned Tuesday. It was hard on him and hard on us, but he did it.
You know, it's crazy how people all of a sudden want to resign because Trump is in office. Trump putting that pressure on that ass, and they don't like it. Point blank, period.
So the people who run this world know that most people couldn't care less about truth. America's not the land of the free and the home of the brave. We're not free or brave. Need to wake up and find out. We're just here. The people who founded this country were men that we can't even converse with. They used a whole different terms and different logic. They were men of renown, brilliant, intelligent men who were students of history. Of course they made enemies in England, but they had the respect of the British kings and the respect of the British royalty. May not have loved them, but they respected them because they were brilliant, intelligent men. Unfortunately, our country today has very few, if any, of those qualities left. As political and economic freedom diminishes, sexual freedom tends compensatingly to increase. And the dictator, unless he needs cannon fodder or families with which to colonize the empty and conquered territories, will do well to encourage that freedom, in conjunction with the freedom to daydream, under the influence of narcotics, the movies, the radio, and it will now help to reconcile his subjects to the servitude which is now their fate.
This is crazy. Conspiracy theories are getting so boring these days, man. It's not even a wow factor anymore. They literally had a camera crew or a man that was on standby come by and open this capsule that those ladies supposedly went up in space with Ian. And why was he even there to touch? It should have been a professional or somebody. This man literally had on a t-shirt and jeans. I mean, they can't even dress the characters up correctly to make it believable no more. It's crazy, man.
What you're seeing right now worldwide is a monumental change on how human beings view the world. There has been a mass awakening, and all of us, especially spiritual people, have been trying to tell you this for decades, since the 60s, that the age of Aquarius is coming upon us. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the literal definition of the age of Aquarius. Aquarius stands for truth, egalitarianism, and humanitarianism. Also, the advancement of humanity. There's going to be a lot of technology. People are awakening to class consciousness. This used to be somewhat of a movement back then, but it has never been this profound since the coming of the age of the internet. Information travels so fast, and we as a collective are awakening to the fact that nothing is what we're told. We have been lied to for centuries, if not thousands of years, by the same type of people that were ruling Babylon, that are ruling us now. What you're going to see in the next coming years, and I give it a good 50 years of this next revolution, people fighting for more egalitarianism, people caring for Mother Earth more, and people ripping the mask off of these narcissists that control everything. Look at what's happening with IS Real. I can only say it that way. IS Real pretends to be the victim, but nobody is buying that anymore, because here in the US, the IS Real owns every single media company, including Hollywood. And the IS Real was responsible for pitting and throwing so much propaganda against developing countries. Now, the darker truth through spirituality is that you will learn most of the people who work for the IS Real are not the original ones. They don't share one drop of the original IS Real bloodline. What they're trying to do is to infiltrate, to pretend, to mask, to be the real ones. But really, they're the real ones. They're trying to lessen their numbers. This is why you see so much conflict in where you see conflict, in the Middle East. And they're trying to creep into North Africa, Central Asia, and God knows where else that they sense the real IS Reals are from. This is not just a battle on gas or land. It's much deeper than that. They're battling for the Stargates. They're battling for bloodlines. They want certain bloodlines, because certain bloodlines hold the key to humanity's ascension. So any country right now that sides with IS Real, you have to be a little bit cautious of, because those who claim that they have the holy right don't even have it in their bloodline. The real ones are in hiding. The real ones are actually being by them. You may ask, why did they infiltrate? They're fallen angelics. The devil is in the details. The devil is a distraction. The devil is a lie. I recommend everybody watch the Avatar movie, the one with the blue Na'vi people, in which they create these clones or these avatars of the Na'vi people, and they insert the human consciousness in there to infiltrate the Na'vi people. What do you think these fallen angelics have been doing this whole time? They look like us, but they are not us. So many of you guys have told me this, but I agree with you. We battle not with flesh, but with the spirit. Who are they in the spirit? And the eyes never lie. Humanity's ascension and humanity's awakening is these fallen angelics' worst nightmare, because we are too powerful. The only reason why they haven't offed all of us is because our DNA, the real humans, is directly connected to the Earth's grail lines, the Earth's grids. So if they too many of us, Earth is going to die too, and Earth is their precious cargo. Ladies and gentlemen, I guarantee you, I bet so much money on this, that in the next 20 years from now, what I'm saying is not just going to be a random theory you hear online. It is going to be fact. That people are going to see these fallen angelics, these lizards, for who they truly are. Now, if you want to learn about why these fallen angelics have infiltrated Earth, why are they so concerned with human DNA? Why do they harvest our energy?
She said one thing that stuck out, and she said that we have to battle them not with the flesh, but with the spirit. And to me, that means don't fall for the veil anymore. Don't fall for the bull crap. Look through it, see through it, don't give it any energy. Because they get their energy through your fear. And that's why they own all the media companies for predictive programming, which puts fear into you. And as long as you're in fear, then there's never an uprising. There's never going to be anybody to stand up.
Why weren't these headlines all over your feed? Ask yourself that and follow and stay with me till the end, because these 3 stories might explain a lot. Japan just declared a national defense emergency. This barely made US news, but Japan just placed its entire self-defense forces on high alert in response to Chinese naval pressure near Okinawa. And buried in the official report, they used the word unprecedented. US power grid breach confirmed. A senior cybersecurity official just testified behind closed doors multiple regional power systems have been quietly probed, and at least one was compromised. It was traced to a foreign actor. Why is no one talking about this? The UN quietly relocating emergency assets? This one's strange. Multiple unmarked UN trucks and aircraft have been spotted moving emergency stockpiles to undisclosed Western locations. The footage exists, but the coverage doesn't. Why the silence? If these stories feel like puzzle pieces, it's because they are, but someone's trying to keep the final picture out of sight. In spite of the blackout, censorship, and spin, truth still leaks. Stay alert, stay grounded, stay free.
Major news coming out of Israel tonight, where in a matter of hours, the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is expected to urge his security cabinet to back a full military takeover of the Gaza Strip. That's according to Israeli media reports that a source tells CNN are accurate. Senior officials close to the Prime Minister are quoted as saying the die is cast. We're going for full conquest. If Israel's military commander doesn't agree, he should resign.
President Trump increasing the pressure on Russia to end its war, posting he's moving 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, following what he called highly provocative statements from former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. After Medvedev called Trump's deadline for Russia to end the war in 10 to 12 days a threat and a step towards war between Russia and the U.S.
A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people. He was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, and we're totally prepared.
It's the first time Trump has issued a nuclear threat against Vladimir Putin.
And Gaza now faces a grave risk of famine. I know this is something that's been building up, but we now have 2 indicators that have exceeded the famine threshold. 1 in 3 people in Gaza are going days without food, and the malnutrition indicator.
It had to be him. It had to be Trump. He had to get in the office, and he had to do what he had to do today in order to start the fall of white supremacy. Okay? I know y'all wanted Kamala to get in there, but if she would have got in there, everything would have stayed the same. Okay? All the lies and manipulation, the cover-ups, everything would have stayed the same. So I don't want to say it was written, right? But it's damn near prophecy. Okay? And this ain't a time for fear, okay? It's actually a joyous time. And I'm not trying to minimize the loss of life, okay? What I'm saying is this. The people of the Middle East and in the eastern part of the world, right? They know who's been oppressing them. They know who's been overthrowing their leaders, right? And invading their countries, right? And been labeling them terrorists for sticking up for themselves. They know all of this. It's the same people who's been oppressing us, okay? And I heard a woman say today, actually one of my TikTok friends, right? She was crying. And she said that she just realized that the whole world is being liberated right now from the terrorist America and the terrorist Israel. And she is correct. And that's why I say it's a joyous time. And it couldn't be nobody else but him, right? And all his arrogance, all his cockiness, all his greediness, all his secretive and manipulative ways, right? It couldn't have been nobody else to pull this off but him. Thank you.
Y'all know that's true. I mean, just think about all of the peace treaties he's implemented in the last 6 months since he been president. Ain't no president did nothing like that fast. So I don't know, man. Might be some truth to what he's saying.
Now, you said something on social media the other day that outer space is the ocean.
Right.
Explain that.
I can't do it.
You can't explain it?
I can explain it, but I don't want to explain it on camera.
Is it one of those things where it's just like, we don't know what's up there and we don't know what's down there?
Kinda.
The ocean is the new outer space.
Straight up.
You know, the
Straight
guys
up.
who died, they were explorers like Christopher Columbus and all that.
And they do have life forms under the ocean right now in the trenches that we are yet to see. We haven't seen near some of the life forms that have been out there. Your blood has the flower and the fauna of the land in it. It means that the DNA of all the life forms on the land is in your DNA because you've been here for 20, 30,000 years. They can't say the same thing.
Yeah, man. Look, you know these celebrities, these rappers, man. They look at the same stuff we look at, and they dab in circles where there are people who know secrets and know things that your average person who don't pick up a book and read wouldn't know. So, I mean, you know, they know a little something. Am I saying that they're like philosophers or something? Nah, I don't think they know that much.
You say that all whites are racist. Can you expound on that, please?
Any white person who was born, raised, and schooled in the United States of America, if you aren't a racist, you're a miracle. Either that or you decided to educate yourself. Because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black's got to stand back. Yellow's mellow, but whites, we educate in a way that says that white males have done all the adventures, have made all the adventures, have done all the discovering, have made all, and everything that is good and has been accomplished according to social studies, which is actually anti-social studies, by white males. It's a lie. But we do that in order to maintain the myth of white superiority. The myth of race has to be maintained at all costs in this country. Because if white people have to give up the color of their skin as being something that makes them perfect, what do they have left? If we start teaching the truth about history, if we start teaching about Nile Valley contributions to civilization, it will totally change the way we conduct ourselves in the classroom. It will have to. Columbus didn't discover America. You can't discover a place where people are already living. But we celebrate that every October. It's a lie. We need to get over. We need to stop telling the myths and start telling the truth.
So when you tell people that they're racist, and it must have some kind of effect, because most people will say, I'm not racist.
I'm not a racist. Why, some of my best friends are black. Yeah, and then you say, name one. Or this one, I don't see color. And when some woman says to me, I don't see color, I say, I knew that. If you saw color, you wouldn't dye your hair that way. Or I say, if you saw color, you wouldn't wear that shirt with those pants. I believe that you don't see color. It's an attempt to deny skin color. And it's an attempt to deny what's wrong with seeing the color of my skin. Is it all right for you to see me kind of pink? That's okay for me. I don't mind. And I suspect that you don't mind being seen the color you are. You have a right to be what you are. And until people in this country and people in this world get it into their heads that the first modern human beings that evolved on this earth were black women. They evolved in sub-Saharan Africa about 280,000 years ago. And every human being on the face of the earth today has the memory of those black women's genetic structure in their genes. Now, we don't want to admit that, but that's the way it is. And as people moved farther and farther from the equator, their bodies produced less and less melanin, so their hair, their skin, and their eyes got lighter. As they moved into the east, they ate a lot of fish and a lot of vegetables, so their skin took on a different tone. I found that out when I was raising little kids. My husband worked in a supermarket. He was the head of the produce department, and they had lots of oranges that they couldn't sell, so he'd bring them home, and I was feeding my kids orange juice like you never saw in your life. They began to have an orange cast to their skin. I thought they had a liver problem. So I took her to the doctor, and she said, "What are you feeding these kids?" I said, "Well, lots of orange juice." She said, "Stop it if you want them to stop being orange." Now, if you think that skin color isn't anything other than the body's natural reaction to the natural environment, get over it.
So, if all white people are racist, according to you, can they be reprogrammed?
Of course they can. Of course they can. Of course they can be. It's called education. I'm an educator. The word educator comes from the root dus, which means lead, the prefix e, which means out, the suffix ate, which means the act of, and the suffix or, which means one who does. An educator is one who is engaged in the act of leading people out of ignorance. Now, I know you can change them.
Man, when I tell you that white lady ate down, she ate down. And if y'all don't know, that's Jane Elliott. That is one of my favorite, actually my favorite white educator. Because she is going to teach you the truth. Whether that truth is telling you that black people were the first people on this land, or to tell you that white people were the first people who to discover that black people were on this land, she going to tell it the right way. And she doesn't deny the fact that she's white. And she understands that racism was not created by black folks. Like me, I literally don't want to be racist towards nobody. I don't give a damn what your color is. But because racism exists, I can't deny it. I can't get away from it. So I have to defend me from the racism. Because if you never experienced racism, and I'm specifically speaking as a black man, then you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. But this ain't even about race. It's just the fact that when that white lady is gone, all information, all education, the right way is gone. The only people that are gonna be trying to teach it the right way are the black people. But that white lady doing that speaks volumes. I mean, it is what it is, though, man. Shout out to Jane Elliott.
Why would the government lie to us? Out of all the comments on my video yesterday, this is the most interesting one. So I'm hoping after all the information I give you in this video, you can go ask the government yourself. Remember MK Ultra during the 1950s through the 1970s when the CIA decided they were going to run experiments on unknowing U.S. citizens using illegal substances, physical, and even psychological stuff to get them to do things that they wanted them to do? And then when they got exposed for it, they tried to destroy all the documents and deny that they ever did it? Yeah. Why would the government lie to us about that? Remember the Watergate scandal in the 1970s, where a bunch of men broke into the DNC headquarters to get some information and wiretap them? Just to find out that the president of the United States, Richard Nixon, was the one who set it up? Yeah. Why would the government lie to us about that? Do you remember the Tuskegee experiment? When the U.S. Public Health Services decided to deny 400 black men of a treatment to their disease, even though they had the cure for it, just because they wanted to know what would happen if they were untreated for it, and did not tell them they were doing that. They denied it for years, and then later came out and said, yeah, you know what, we did do that, and it was unethical. Yeah, why would the government lie to us about that? These are just 3 examples, and there are plenty more. So no, the real question isn't why would the government lie to us? The real question is, why did the government lie to us?
Hey, I'm going to say this. In 2025, if you're a white person and you still don't believe that your government tricked you into hating us, then you just want to be racist.
How does the government use time manipulation to control us? Well, this right here is the Gregorian calendar and how we track time today. And this guy right here is Pope Gregory the 13th. This is the guy that replaced the Julian calendar with the Gregorian calendar back in 1582, a long time ago. Can you tell me why it's 2016 in Ethiopia right now? The Europeans basically colonized all of Africa except one place. Not only were they pushing this calendar, but they were also forcing Christianity. But here in America, 2016 was like 7 years ago. 124 years ago, the Battle of Adwa took place. Ethiopia decided they did not want to get colonized and put up a fight. Basically, the Italian army versus the Ethiopian army. And it wasn't even an even fight. Ethiopia whooped Italy's ass so bad that they are not even colonized still to this day. Why is there nearly an 8-year difference between our calendar and theirs? The calendar is based off of when Jesus was born. The Ethiopian calendar says 7 BC while the Gregorian calendar says 1 AD. That's a 7-year and 8-month difference. How do we know which calendar is right? The Ethiopian calendar has 12 months with 30 days and a 13th month with 5 days, 6 days on the leap year. But how does the government control us with time? Time is a man-made concept, an illusion. It's a paradigm, a way of thinking that your consciousness could be trapped in. But that means people in Ethiopia age differently than us. We're programmed to believe that once we hit certain ages, certain things happen in our lives. Isn't it weird how we basically go to school for a third of our life, we work for the second third, and then we retire and die? When we turn 18, we're basically expected to know what we want to do for the rest of our lives. When we hit a certain age, we're expected to have a family. We hit a certain age and tell ourselves,
in this economy, if you 18, yes, I expect for you to know what you want to do in your life, because this economy don't love you. Do you hear what I'm saying?
We're old and decide to stop living life. We're programmed to think that we're always running out of time. We're not taught that our thoughts literally shape our reality. So if we're always thinking we're running out of time, we're gonna look like we're aging, believe it or not. If I just found out time is fake, what else is fake in this world? The government wants us to think that we are nothing more than a physical body trapped in this plane of time. All I can say is we've been playing a game for a very long time, and you've been programmed on how to play the game. You have to wake up and think outside the box to beat it.
I don't know what to say about that. We live in a crazy world, I tell you that much, man. We all have been lied to. I ain't just talking about black people. I'm talking about white folks, brown folks, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, whatever. They've all been lied to. The internet is our chance to gain the knowledge they've been trying to hide from us and heal this world. That's the only answer to all this, is to heal this world with knowledge. The more you know, the better you do. So let's get this knowledge out here, man. And that's all I got to say on this. And with that being said, like I always say, do what you will with that information. And remember, challenge the argument and not the person. I'll catch y'all in the next one.